Welcome back to the Time for Heroes podcast. This week on the podcast, I've got Scott Powell, who is the frontman of Stoke band Camens. Is that the right way of pronouncing it?
Yeah, you got it, man. A lot of people don't get it right. We've had every variation imaginable, and then some people stick the on the front, which always really winds us up. So you haven't called us the Camens, which we get all the time. Just Camens, which is great.
Brilliant. So we're going to talk about the band's career. They've got a new single coming out next Friday, and then in May, debut album comes out. But before that, we're going to get back to the start. So what was life like for a young Scott Powell growing up? Where did you grow up? What was school like? And your first forays into music, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm from Stoke-on-Trent. We're all from Stoke-on-Trent, like Midlands. So most of the time, describing it, it's like Alton Towers or near Manchester. That's what we say because most people don't know where we are. But yeah, Stoke-on-Trent. Yeah, I kind of got into music at that age, like 13, 14, 15 in high school when you're kind of figuring out where you fit, I suppose, in like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd always sung, like I'd always done like karaoke and stuff on holidays and things like that. And then around like, I don't know, around that age, I'd always been good with words as well. I always really enjoyed like writing stuff, wordplay and, ideas and things like that. I always got a buzz out of that. So I just kind of like married the two. And at first I was just writing, I suppose they were just like kind of poems really, but like to tunes. So they weren't really songs, but
Mm-hmm.
they had the structure of like songs without me being able to play anything to progress them into songs.
Yeah.
So around like 14, 15, I, landed with like a group of lads in high school who played guitars and things like that. And I thought maybe this is where I fit. Maybe I'm like a music person. I'd grown up on like the Beatles and like mum and dad big music fans. So like my mum was all like 70s stuff like Zeppelin and Floyd and all. And then my mum and my dad saw like slightly older stuff, Stones and Kinks and yeah, Beatles obviously. So
Yeah.
like I've always like been around Fleetwood Mac and just great Carole King, great songwriters, Dylan, Paul Simon, all this kind of stuff like the pantheon, the names really. I'd grown up listening to stuff like that. So yeah, I think around about 14, 15, I just decided that songwriter was better than poems, I think, and
Right.
started looking to play to be able to do it really.
And was there any kickback for your parents, or were they quite happy for you to kind of pursue this career?
I think the way I mean, yeah, they've always been completely supportive, to be fair. I mean, like one of the things that like I think is really important in terms of like why I think my old man was a really good footballer when he was like younger, like really good. Like so,
Mm-hmm.
but some other people tell me as well. My granddad, whilst he was great dad and all the rest of it, he wasn't particularly interested in football, so he never used to like go and see him play or you know not particularly encouraging in terms of like
Yeah.
how some parents can be. So I think maybe as a knock-on effect to that, like my mum and dad have never missed gigs all my life. Whenever they could get there, they've got there. And I think in general, the way I've always explained it to them is that I could do anything, but like while I've got the chance to do something that I genuinely love, I'm gonna do everything I can to do it. Because there isn't anything I want to do that I'm going to put everything into, really. And I can't think of another way to explain it that makes sense other than that. And I think they totally get that. And they can see that I give everything, I put everything I've got into it and always have done. So yeah,
Yeah.
as long
Looking
as,
back,
as long as
I've been looking on your Instagram today as well, and I've been right all the way back, so I can see you've been working hard at it for years to get to where you are now.
yeah, man, absolutely. Years, definitely. I think it's a learning process, like I always call like doing music, it's a bit like playing snakes and ladders. Like you'll get so far in your musical journey and then something will come along that you've not encountered before. And because you've not encountered it, same as anything new that you encounter in life, you tend to make a mess of it. And then when you do, the wheels come off whatever project you've been going at, and you go back down the snake, and then you have to get back to there again before you can kick on.
Yeah,
Um, so I think like unless you're lucky enough to have like, you know, an absolutely wedged mum and dad, or like, nepotism, family connections that can get you through the ranks quickly.
Yeah, if
The,
only you had Bono as your dad.
I'm not saying anything about
It's
the
it
music's
seems to be a
great. I
touchy
tell you what,
subject that in the pod.
yeah, the music's great. But yeah, I'm sure having Bono as your dad doesn't half help you in all sorts
Yeah,
of ways. You know, my dad
yeah.
would ask me to read it. Do you know what I mean?
So obviously, as I said, I was looking back on your Instagram, and at some point, Camens, before it was Camens, there was a band called Lazy Eye.
Yeah, yeah, that
Um,
was the first thing.
so
Yeah.
was there anything before Lazy Eye?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I mean, I joined my first band like at 16, like a bit going back to what I've just said about like once I realised that it was I wanted to do, couldn't really foresee me putting any time or effort into anything else and properly pursuing it. So about 16, 17 in college, I joined my first covers band, and at like 16, 17, I was going around the country and playing Beatles and Kinks and Stones covers in like Butlins and Haven Holiday Parks and stuff like that. And like we're getting paid quite well for it as well. So like at a time when like
Yeah.
my mates couldn't even get like a normal working wage, I was out doing something I absolutely loved every weekend, you know, and earning like 300, 400 quid a weekend just playing music. And I remember just thinking, like, I remember getting like the uni perspectives with all the courses I could have gone and done at uni, and just looking at them, going, "There's nothing I'm going to put any effort into here because I just love this so much." So yeah, so like I've had two or three incarnations in different cover bands and original bands up until like my mid 20s. And then Lazy Eye started as like a solo project, basically. Like I kind of got to a point where it's like if I'm doing it my way. I kind of back myself to make the decisions that I think are right. And if I'm gonna succeed or fail, I'm gonna succeed or fail on the back of my own intuition and what I think is the right thing to do. So I started my own thing, and essentially I just made records in a studio. I hadn't got a band. I just made records in a studio with a producer after tuning up the songs I'd written. And yeah, the band grew around it really. I got to a point where I needed a band. So Corbs, the guitarist, saw some of the records I'd released and liked him. He messaged online and said, "Have you got a guitarist?" And I hadn't. So we had a jam and we clicked. And me knew Josh, the other guitarist, who then joined. And then we found Luke, the drummer, on like a muso website or looking for original bands to join. And
Mm-hmm.
then we were Lazy Eye for a bit. And as we grew together, we kind of started writing together as opposed to just playing my songs. And then it became its own thing. So it needed its own fresh start. So like Camens started in about 2017 on the back of that, really.
Right. And where did the name Camens come from? What was the inspiration behind that?
Oh, it's just the most annoying thing naming any band. Like when four of you sit in a room trying to name a band, like everybody can think of a reason for every suggestion as to why you shouldn't pick that name. I think Caymans, we like it's like the maybe like the crocodile, not the Tory tax haven, like the little crocodiles, like
Yeah.
So we I think we heard that on like a document, like an Attenborough thing or something, and thought, what about that? And then we ended up having to spell it wrong because if we'd have done Caymen, you'd have just got the Cayman Islands, and if you'd have got Caimen, you'd have just got
Yeah.
the Crocodile. So we ended up spelling it wrong, which is where like Carmen's comes from, and like all these other like iterations that people come up with for it that isn't Cayman's come from because like strictly it's not spelt right. But yeah, that's how we ended up there.
Um. So just for the listeners, obviously, if people aren't familiar with the band, can I describe the sound of Camens?
I mean, we're definitely all children of that early 2000s wave of guitar bands that like that last big new wave of all indie punk kind of British and American guitar bands that came out in like the early 2000s. So, I mean, we reference the Strokes a lot, but it's impossible to do the Strokes without Julian's voice, which I definitely haven't got. Not many people have. The Libs gets mentioned a lot. I'm a huge Libs fan. I take it that's where the name for the podcast comes from, or
Yeah,
whatever.
it does. And yeah, I've still to have any member of the band on the podcast, which is a bugbear of mine.
Oh, really, man? Well, yeah, it's got to happen. I think at some point, mate. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen. I mean, interestingly, like coming off the back of that, like I saw the Lib. I just got into the Libs as it was just kind of coming to an end. Really, I remember
Right.
seeing Jonathan Ross one night, doing "Can't Stand Me Now," and then just like wow, what is this? And then I went out like the next, like within the week, I'd bought both the first albums, and like it was just falling apart at that point. So I never got to see them as the Libs at the time they were the Libs.
Neither did I. I'm
Yeah,
the same. I seen them at Tina Park where Anthony Rosamondo was in the band then when
yeah,
they got
when it,
Peter. So
yeah.
it wasn't until when did I see him? I'm trying. I seen them at Hyde Park. I'm trying to think if I seen them before that. They might have played Glasgow, and then obviously I've seen them the last year. I seen them as well, but it's not the same as well. All these years on.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. Like I've listened to the new stuff.
The new stuff sounds good.
Yeah,
The newest stuff.
but it's definitely like it was definitely a moment, wasn't it? Like where they existed in this weird sphere that didn't seem to exist in modern music anymore. It seemed to be something from a bygone era as to what they were. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's kind of like this rock and roll world that doesn't exist, definitely doesn't exist anymore. I don't think really, not publicly anyway. And yeah, they were definitely special. And yeah, I mean, I've got three musical tattoos. I have a Kinks one, a Beatles one, and a Libertines one. So they're like my main three. I would say.
What's your Libertines one?
I've got a Time for Heroes line on my back, like every
Right.
18-year-old got when when they were 18 and the libs were about when they were into guitar music, which is yeah, there's plenty of them.
Right.
I'm not the only one.
I'll get Libertine here on my arm.
Have you got the libs tat? Yeah, there
Yeah.
we go. Yeah, I think yeah, that might come one day. I think maybe late to the party, but it might be due.
But I mean, like touching on like as you described that sound and the kind of influences. Obviously, like looking on your Spotify, you get a playlist with all your influences. Um, and obviously you touched heavily on the Strokes. I was listening to you yesterday and see the band that came to mind straight away for me was Interpol,
Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean,
which
we've
you've
definitely got that. Especially the newer stuff. You know, I think as we get a little older, we get a bit more. I dare say maybe a bit more mature in our songwriting. Like the earlier stuff was a bit more light-hearted and a bit more fun, whereas now I know with a couple of years on the clock, maybe we're a little darker than we were when we originally started. And then Poland definitely heavier stroke stuff is yeah, it's all in that kind of world. That's what we love. And British bands as well that did like the White Lies and Editors and that feel is definitely something that gets kicked around a lot when we're writing. Yeah.
obviously before I mean I'm going to get back to like your debut release and all that, but you play bass, is that correct?
Yeah, I didn't originally. So when I started Lazy Eye on my own, it was more folky originally. So I had like
Mm-hmm.
Frank Turner, Jake Bugg kind of vibes because I envisaged it when I started originally as just being like I didn't think anybody like I was so pleased that people wanted to be in a band with me when I started my own stuff that like I didn't envisage that ever happening. So I foresaw it to just being some kind of solo thing where I go out with like my acoustic guitar and play like more stripped back, more again like indie folk kind of stuff really, which I'm also a big fan of Dylan, Paul Simon, and Donovan and all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
Story and songwriting. So originally I was on guitar, but Josh Corbs's mate joined on bass originally, and Josh is an infinitely better guitar player than me. So we switched, and as well, Josh is it's quite funny actually because I'm 6'1" and Josh is shorter than me. So he'd be on stage shorter than me with this great big like Rickenbacker bass guitar, and then I'd have his tiny little Gibson SG, and like mine would look like a toothpick in my hand, and he'd look like a javelin in his in, and then we'd like swap across, and it just looked gawky and awkward. So I think we better swap, man. You need to be on this, and I need to be on that. So yeah, like kind of through necessity, I ended up on bass. I think more than anything.
So at those like early gigs where you kind of swap instruments mid set and stuff like that, a bit like the obviously a big band up here in Scotland, the View.
Oh, I love the
Um,
view, man.
they
Yeah.
do. There's a lot of swapping between Kyle and Kieran between songs that Kieran's wrote or whatever.
Yeah, they
Um,
write together, don't they? So I think, yeah, they definitely like Skag Trendy, they swap, and Realization, they swap. And yeah, I'm a big,
yeah,
I sort of viewing at Keele Uni, which is not far from us, just before Christmas. Obviously, no Crazy Mo anymore, but yeah, big View fan. I heard Doherty actually tell a funny story about, I don't know, you might have seen it. He says that Kyle was with Liam Gallagher and Liam Gallagher was slagging off the Libertines. So Kyle played Liam, Death on the Stairs. And then Liam says, "That's fantastic. What's that?" And Kyle says, "That's the Libertines."
When was this? Was this a recent interview?
No, well, I've seen it. I've seen it online somewhere. Pete telling that story on stage. So
Right.
I imagine that this was potentially, some years ago.
Yeah.
It's a great story in it because I mean, yeah, it's just good.
I don't know how much hatred there really is. You know what I mean? Like I think Liam just likes kind of slagging bands off, but I don't really think there's as much hatred as people seem to think.
Imagine he plays on it. It's part of the
Yeah.
part of the act, isn't it? I don't know how much of it's real and how much of it is, playing the caricature because that's what he's known to be, and it helps him career wise. Mate, I don't know. God knows, but it's still a fun story. I'd love to
Yeah.
see. I'd love
I
to
was
see Kyle
listening
play
to
that.
I was listening to Put a Madries. Have you heard them?
I know the name. I need to have a listen now. Yeah.
Pete Doherty. It's Pete Doherty with Jack Jones for Trampoline. But
Oh
obviously,
yeah, that's of course it is. We gigged with Trampoline. We played.
right. So
We
I
did with.
I had Jack Jones on last year, and obviously in the run up to that, I thought I better check out the other stuff that I hadn't. So for whatever reason, I hadn't listened to Put a Madries, but one of the songs on it, Dynamite is one of the bigger songs on the album. Um, they sing the lines they don't look back in anger.
Yeah.
So kind of because I was listening at work and I was like, what's that? I just heard and I had to get back 2 or 3 times and I was like, he's just sang Don't Look Back in Anger, which is like for for a band that's spent all that time slagging them off to go in it and do that, I thought it was really good.
All comes
I,
full circle, doesn't it, I suppose. I mean, I suppose there's a mutual appreciation between all of them. I mean,
yeah.
we're
And
not
they've
talking.
both got kids to the same woman as well, you know what I mean? There's
Right, I
so
don't
much
know.
linking them.
Well, there you go.
Um, Aye, so back to Camens. Obviously, the name change happened 2017.
Mhm.
Um, the debut single "Boys Will Stray" came out in April, and then another single "Redolence" in July. That year, you supported Ordinary Boys. Um, you supported Billy Bibby, who's also been a guest on the podcast, and Barry Hyde for the Future Heads. As well as that, he done festivals, Latitude Festival and Boardmasters. So a busy year, kind of starting out with a name change. So how did that feel, kind of getting out and supporting big names like Billy Bibby and Barry Hyde and the Ordinary Boys?
Just great, man. I mean, like, I think you just always have to get in front of people, aren't you? That's the biggest task in this game. So like, being able to get on bills like that with people like that, especially at such an early stage for us, was great, man. I mean, Preston from the Ordinary Boys was sound, good chat with him and pictures and all the rest of it. And Billy, known Billy for years now, like having gigged with him, back then, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
follow his musical journey, he follows mine. We speak quite often. He's a great lad. Um, yeah, man. Latitude and Boardmasters were surreal. I mean, there's a few. I don't know how long you've got, but there's a, there's a few fun stories about all that came about. We ended up doing basically 2 weeks of festivals back to back, and
Right.
we didn't want to camp for 2 weeks. I mean, that was what we would have actually done. So we thought we're not doing that. That's mental. We're not camping for 2 weeks. Not even I can do that. So we bought this absolute nail of a caravan from some travellers. It was like
Mm-hmm.
a £400 caravan, like it was a box on wheels, man, just so that we weren't sleeping on the ground for 2 weeks. Um, I'd never towed a caravan before in my life. So the first time I towed a caravan was to go and play Boardmasters. So it's like 5 hours to the bottom of the country and then 4 hours that way, towing this £400 caravan. When we picked it up off these gypsies, we hooked it up to the back of we hooked it up to the back of our van, and the lights didn't work. Like the lights were. So my guitarist went round to like this guy selling his caravan to us for 400 quid. So it was a box. And he said the lights don't work. And this guy went, it's daytime. Because it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon when we were picking it up. It's like, yeah, but it won't be daytime for the next 2 weeks when we're out on the road with it. Yeah, so we end up in this caravan for like 2 weeks. Um, it's just I'd be here for like hours, man, telling you all the things. It's just great fun. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, just great times, really. Like we really, because that was like very early on in that kind of like you become a band by doing them kind of things, like bands become bands like in 3 hour long car journeys and in backstage areas where you have to sit together with nothing to do. That's when you find out whether you can get on together
Yeah,
and play music. And we all just click really well. We all get on really well. And if you can't do them kind of things early on without it being a right good laugh, then like it doesn't matter whether the music's good or not. Eventually, it'll peter out. But thankfully, we love gigging, man. It's great fun.
2018, another three singles. Um, Lots and lots of merch drops as well. I've seen you are constantly bringing out t-shirts and things to go along with these singles.
Yeah.
Violent Video Games came out in March, Danny DeVito in July, and Slept on the Sofa in September. Along with that, more festivals and supports. But I think you supported Cast at a festival.
Yeah,
Um,
Red Car,
so,
yeah, John, yeah.
yeah, support with the Sherlocks and support with Scouting for Girls as well.
Yeah, I mean, we had this like really, really good year in 2018 where like we got a first national radio play. Lamach played DeVito on Radio 6, which was like mental for us, like national radio play, like the first time we'd ever had that, which was like quite surreal for us. And then it kind of snowballed off the back of that. Sherlock's was mega. That was like the first time on a properly big stage for us in front of a proper like 1,500 crowd. Like we'd done 200-300s up to that point, and we'd done small festival stages, but we'd not done 2,000 cap venues in front of 1,500
Mm-hmm.
people opening for really really successful bands up until that point. Um, Scouting again was another one like that was in Coventry. I think there was 2,000 people in there the night that we did that. We played outside the Etihad Stadium as well, which
I was
granted,
going to bring that up as well.
yeah, they weren't there to see us. They were there to see Man City, but there was still about 4,000 or 5,000 people stood around this stage when we went on, which was all a bit surreal.
Yeah, because they have a lot of up and coming musicians play out there, didn't they? I've seen the Rosa Docs have done it before.
Yeah, it's great, man. Great fan park, great stage. The team that like they make a real thing of it. Like the whole. It's not just they stick a band on, they come off. There's all sorts going on. They have like the day that we were there, like Jimmy Anderson, they played Burnley, Man City did that day, and James Anderson, the English fast bowler, he's a Burnley fan, so he was like milling about and being interviewed in between our songs and stuff, and then like you got
Right.
like Terry Christian and like Manchester comedians on in between us doing bits and that. Yeah, just another like the thing that we always say is like you're constantly getting like really cool experiences that you just like wouldn't get to do in any other walk of life. And things like that, like we didn't know that turning up, but like we meet these cool people all the time through doing it, which is as much of the enjoyment.
Is it any Man City fans in the band?
No, 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 man. Well, I'm a Stoke fan,
Right.
fortunately. Corbs is a Leicester City fan, even though he's not from Leicester. I think it's through his dad. So he's having a right good year at the minute. And then the other two, not so much football fans, but me and Corbs love it.
Right. Just but before we go forward with the music, obviously, I'm a Celtic fan.
Right, okay.
So there's a wee boy on loan to use Haskabanovic. How's he doing? Is
Yeah,
he any good?
he seems to play away from home more than at home. He doesn't seem to get chucked on at home for some reason. And
Right.
I'm a season ticket holder, so the only time I tend to see him's on the telly. But he looks. We had Arnautovic when we were in the Premier League, Austrian.
That's right. Yeah.
Very much in that kind of mould. And he's just been out for a bit injured. But I'd like to see more of him than who we are playing left and
That
right
that that's
at the
kind of
minute.
similar to what we had with him no last season. He came in and he looks like he's got the ability, but at times he looked uninterested and um,
Yeah,
didn't
might be a bit of
didn't
that.
play as often as he could.
He was on the bench yesterday, didn't come on, even though we were. Did he come on? I don't think he did. We were 2-1 down. We lost 2-1 to Birmingham at home yesterday. And we went 2-0 down. So you would have thought at that point. No, he didn't come on. He put Sorry, it's Teenage Football podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't come on. He didn't come on yesterday, but I would have imagined he should have done at the point that we were in. We were 2-0 down at home with
Yeah.
four.
Sounds like the same player we had then.
Yeah, so I don't know why
You
that
can
is.
keep him. I know it's a loan deal, but if you want to have him, you can have him.
I'd like to see him given a run. Whenever he's on, he looks well. He looks better than what we've got. Let's put it that way. That's not saying much at the minute though. We're 19th, I think.
2019, one single time is precious. Supports with King Nolan, the future heads, scouting for girls again, the lottery winners, lots of festivals again. But the one that stuck out for me the most that year was the support for the Snuts.
Great night, man. I tell you what, I genuinely love Scottish bands, man. Like they've got like an energy and a vibe that like is different from other places. That like completely suits what I love in guitar music. You know, like a raucous energy, like a communal spirit that seems to be embodied by Scottish bands, like say like The View and Snuts and
Yeah,
you know, loads, man. Las Vegas, love Las Vegas as well. They're massive. Just yeah, remember sound checking, and I can't remember the names, but they got like a big bottle of Buckfast comes out the bag when they've not even started, and then we had this like we watched the set and they were great, man. They absolutely ripped it up, and I'll tell you what was interesting. So they're headlining a small venue in Stoke-on-Trent. It's like 400 cap. You know, you look at the size of stuff they're doing now. They were on the way up when we played with them at that stage.
yeah,
There must have been in this 400 cap venue in Stoke. I don't know, 100 Scots. I think it was like St Andrew's flags all across the front of the barrier, like a
yeah.
travelling
That's
army.
my pal. He's been to every gig, I think, and he's got the St Andrews flag. It says WL on the front.
Right.
You see him at every gig.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, like we came on, bearing in mind it's our own town, and to be fair, when we got offered the gig, it had already sold out, so it wasn't like we got people there, but there were people there who knew us, who'd seen us, but like obviously they were absolutely smashing it and continued to. But like we walked out and there's just like it's like a Scotland away game, man. It was like you know, Hampden Park or something. There was just St Andrew's flags all around the Sugarville, and we were like, "Where are we? Why is it like 150 Scots in this little club in Stoke-on-Trent?" But they were great, man, and good lads as well. They had a good chat with us after. We had this picture with them where they necking, you know, drink and all the rest of it. And yeah, it's just good, man. Just a really good gig.
Yeah, I mean their rise has been really, really quick when you think about it. Like that's the same. They're due to bring out their third album,
Yeah.
and their first album came out just run
Yes.
about lockdown. So when you think about that, that's three albums out in a matter of no time.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I mean, in terms of smashing albums out, it's just having opportunity to write. Really. I mean, like we write fairly quick when we got the time and the resources to do it, if that makes sense. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we're still slogging it, you know, day jobs and up and down the country and fitting it in between. You know, I mean, the album's called Work Life Balance purely on that basis. Like, we're trying to do this alongside having to do the things that everybody has to do. If you can get up over that step where it becomes, you know, I don't think anybody goes from, especially nowadays because there's not enough money in it. Nobody goes from normal job to full-time musician in
Yeah,
like 3 months. You know, like you'll edge it out, and if you can do it slowly but surely, you'll go from like 5 days a week in your normal job to, you know, 3 or 4. You have to build up to it. So like if you can get to that stage where like you're only having to do something normal to earn money like a couple of days a week, and all of a sudden you're spending 5 days a week playing music, then you write so much quicker, you demo so much quicker. If you're at the level they're at, the money to go in studios and just kind of sit down with your ideas with the producer and go, now we've got this and we want to develop this idea with it. What can we do? All them opportunities open up for you with more time and more money, which, you know, so it's yeah, you can tell that like they're just brimming with ideas and creativity because like that's what happens when you've got them opportunities. If you're brimming with it, once you've got the tools to go and do it, you know, if we could get to that stage, you know, I mean, we're probably 3/4 of the way through writing our second album now, and we've not even released the first one yet. You know, it's just having the time and the money to go and make it, really.
yeah. but it's always nice to kind of have that kind of something nearly written, and it takes a bit of the pressure off, doesn't it? When you because I'd imagine when this album comes out, you're going to be even busier than you've been, so you don't need to worry about, oh shit, we need to start writing stuff. You've got to
You're always trying to like think. You're always trying to think like kind of a bit like the snakes and ladders things again. Like you're always trying to think kind of a couple of steps ahead. So like the intention or the dream like this year is to try and top 40 this album, which would be a genuinely monumentous achievement for a band with like the kind of money and backing that we've got to work with in the start, that where we come from and all that kind of things. So if we can top 40 the album, then like the aim is to be ready to record the second one by like back end of this year, because we'll have a busy summer festival in. We've got our release tour in May. So like right now, I'm like saying, look, gigs don't really kick in until like Feb March time. So let's get to work writing, so that because we ain't gonna have the opportunity to write through
yeah,
March, April, May, June, all through summer, and then I don't want us to get to like 2 months before November when, like, ideally, off the back of the album, hopefully we'll have options to work with new people to go and record the second one with, but not have like, 20 records to turn around and show people and go, right, these are the demos that we think are going to make up the second album, because that's like people who are going to like back you financially to go and make that second album want to hear something before they do. So again, like it's snakes and ladders trying to make sure that when you get to that point, you've got something to show them. So yeah, even though like we're completely knee deep in promo for this album, we're also knee deep in prep for the gigs and knee deep in writing
yeah.
whilst having to be working normal jobs and running houses and all that stuff. It never stops, man.
You mentioned Snakes and Ladders, obviously. 2020, another couple of singles that in a headline show at the Sugar Mill with support with the Rats was meant to happen, and then we had COVID. So a big fuck off snake there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean this um headline show didn't happen for another, what was it, 20 months or something. It was rescheduled and rescheduled and rescheduled again. Um how did COVID affect the band? Because most of the people I spoke to and kind of up and coming bands like yourself, it has been a help because it's given more time to write and to focus on the band. How would you describe it for yourself?
A bit like I said, I keep saying the snakes and ladders things, but it literally was. So it started 2020. We got rolling again. So like we've had one of the problems that this band's had is that like we've got to a certain point, a bit like I've said, and then something completely out of our controls come along and taken the wheels off, stopped all the momentum, and then you have to get going again. So like quite early on in like end of 2017, drummer lost his dad, which was obviously horrendous. He's only young as well, so that put the brakes on for like 6, 7 months, completely understandably. So all the momentum that we built up off the back of them singles that year, and then the festivals that we'd done and the good gigs that we'd done, we got going, and then obviously that was tragic, and then we had to take like 6, 7 months out for understandable reasons. So then we
Mm-hmm.
got going again in like 2018. 2018 we got going really, really well. Did all them things that you just mentioned. And we started working with some people at the end of 2018, and we hoped were going to help us kick onto that next level. And then there was like this fatal error of like us thinking they were going to do stuff that didn't peter out, and then nothing ends up happening. And before you know it, all the momentum and like noises kind of drifted off. So then like so that kind of like put pay to 2019, because we had to go again, because we spent a lot of 2019 trying to get these people we're working with to work with us more than they were showing. Then 2020's COVID, so we put 2 singles out, and then COVID happens. All the gigs get cancelled, all the tours, all the festivals that we got lined up went. What also went was the opportunity to bring money in, because like this band functions on a basis of like, we sell 200-300 tickets for a hometown gig, and then that money goes straight into the pot for studio time or for whatever's needed, for the band. So if you're not gigging, you're not earning. You're not selling merch at gigs, which is where you mentioned the merch. So like it crippled us in terms of income originally, and it crippled us in terms of like the momentum had started again for like the third time, and for the third time something relatively completely out of our control that we couldn't do anything about, had taken the wheels off the car, and we had to find a way through. So the big plus for us through COVID was that it forced us to start the Patreon. So we've got a fan club basically. It's called Ambassadors of Camens. We launched it at like the start of COVID. The response was just like unbelievable. Like we were so taken aback. It was like a really life affirming thing to see the amount of people who cared about the band and were prepared to
Mm-hmm.
put their hand in the pocket and support it through COVID, so that we existed through COVID and past it. So whilst it did like take 2 years out of our musical career, basically, like all the 20 and all the 2021 were basically write-offs as a result of not being able to gig and not being able to go in to record records, not
Yeah,
being
yeah. There was no certainty. There was,
no.
you can do this, and then no, you can't do it again. Whatever it was like a game of the hokey cokey, so to speak, with it.
Like constantly, like we think we'll be able to do it in 3 months' time, and then 3 months' time, when they first started, it was like flatten the curve in 3 months, wasn't it? And like 18 months
Yeah,
later, we were still all stood 2 meters apart in Tesco waiting for tins of beans, So I mean, it's like, hang on, light's gone on.
yeah.
No, 2 seconds, man. Let me put a light on.
That's all right. The irony of this being, at the moment, I think every second person I meet now has got COVID. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
everybody,
it's still about, isn't it? Yeah, it's not like I don't know, man. I mean, that's a whole other conversation altogether. But like in terms of music, um, the big minus was that it took 2 years out of our career, basically. Like, and at times a lot of thing in music, like you're constantly trying to keep momentum up. So somebody just like zapping 2 years out of your musical journey at the age that we're at was not cool, man. Not cool at all. But the Patreon wouldn't have existed without it, and the support from the Patreon funded the whole next phase of the band. So everything that got released from then on
mm-hmm.
got recorded with money that had been put into the coffers by fans who wanted to hear more music and wanted to support us through it, so that we existed on the back end of it. So everything from, I think the first single back was Poltergeist. Everything from then on, like obviously we put our own money into it as well, but everything's so expensive in music that like to maintain it is the other challenge, like maintaining momentum by being able to maintain paying studio costs, paying practice room costs, paying all these things that are expenses for a band. Like for bands like us, it's just not affordable, man. So yeah, the big plus was that we got that as a
So how does Patreon work? Is there different tiers or what, or how much do people pay?
yeah, man. So we got like a basic one, it's like £2, and then we've got like ones right up to like there's a £20 tier, and then there's like a mental £100 tier for in case like some millionaire ever falls on the page and
Yeah,
is
yeah,
generous. No one's ever paid for that, but like we've had people on all the other ones. And yeah, like we do, there's a private Facebook page where we share private content that you can't get anywhere else. We've done everything from like video commentaries on the music videos that we make. We do like behind the scenes stuff. We did like an actual specific home recorded like album that we released purely for members. So
right.
it all our lockdown covers on that we did when what we recorded and put out through lockdown, as well as like I think there's 3 originals on it that we recorded the same way because we couldn't get into a proper studio, but we all got like fairly solid home setups. So like between us when we couldn't mix, we wrote some stuff and we did some covers that we put out online. We put all that on like it's like a 7-track album that went out specifically just for the ambassadors. So we sent
Yeah.
them on. We
People
do.
were got mad for the covers back then as well. There was a band up here, kind of pals with the Snot Smart Sharp and the
Yeah.
Bicycle Thieves, and they done one. They released it on Bandcamp. It was all covers. It was
Okay.
really good.
A lottery winners had a lottery winners had a I think they had like a top 10 album like all
Yeah,
like
that's right.
just in lockdown, so again like we're a very organic band. Like most of the songs start with either me bringing something to the table that I've written and then we'll write around it, or like Corbs will write guitar riffs and then I think that's really cool, let me write a song around that, and then organically it'll grow in the room between the four of us. So when we couldn't get together to do things organically, we were kind of lost in terms of being able to write. So it's just like this weird little time capsule CD. It's called the Time Lapse EP because we did all little music videos for them where there was like where there was like like a time lapse video of like snow building or something decaying or things like that
Yeah.
over a long period of time done really quickly. All the music videos were like that with lyrics overlaid which again all the ambassadors get for for being part of what we for being part of the fan club kind of thing.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'll be checking that out. The only I can mind Embrace. I think Embrace did something similar.
Yeah.
I think they done something like around the last album where you could go and you could look at the recording sessions, how they were going and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, we
But
did like a studio diary, like when we could eventually get back into a studio. Like so, all the recording of Poltergeist, Illustrator, Picture House. Um, Two of them are on the album, by the way, as well. That's coming out. Like there's studio diaries. We went to a studio in Cheshire and we did like a big 20-minute video that's available on the ambassadors the Patreon for people to see. You know all the things, all the making of the record and where it was recorded, and was arsing around in studio, all the rest of it. It's good
yeah,
fun. Good fun.
so obviously, like coming back then, um, so although you got the headline show eventually happened, as we say, 20 months after it was meant to.
Yeah.
But around about that time as well, you were due to support the K's, and theirs was cancelled and then rescheduled, and you weren't able to play it because it was running about the same time as this your rescheduled show. So,
Yeah, so
um,
in a town like Stoke-on-Trent, like it's not wise to play. I mean, there's only about 3, 4 venues in Stoke, so like that's one of the things of being hampered by coming from a small town. Like if you come from like Manchester or London or Liverpool, you can go out and play more or less, a couple of times a month, every month, and not play the same venues. Play
uh-huh.
everywhere, play everywhere in Stoke in a month, and then like it's not wise to hit your own town again because it just hits numbers, man. If people know you've got like 3, 4 gigs coming up over the next six
Yeah,
months.
they'll split it. They'll go to one rather than the other.
So it's better to do like one big one, and then online that looks better, and the whole kind of like buzz around the band looks better if you've got a full crowd in front of you. So yeah, as it landed, K's got cancelled, then it got moved, and we'd already got our headliner in, and they were within about like 2, 3 weeks of one another. So like we ended up having to pull out of the support for the K's so that it didn't impact our show really. But it's just one of the things, man. It wasn't anyone's fault. It's completely unavoidable. Again, man, snakes and ladders, just things come along that,
Yeah.
that you can't do anything about, and it's just the game. You just keep going forward, really.
I mean, that would have been a cracking gig. The 2 years, I really like the K's. I went to see the K's supporting the Raytons.
Oh yeah, magic. Yeah,
The K's and Declan Welsh were supporting the Raytons,
mega.
and I went to the Raytons gig. I had no intention. I don't like the Raytons.
Right. Okay.
So I paid the 30 quid to go and see the two support bands.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. One of the best gigs I've been to.
Grand man. Yeah. I mean, there definitely is like there's a bit of a split in England. I think at the minute you've got London, and then you've got the North. I think, and like like if you I don't know if you tick all the boxes like cool Southern industry, what the industry want, London, and then
Yeah.
there's just kind of like the North who do, well, we're just going to do what we want because 50,000 people will still turn up to a field because the Cortinas are fantastic, and like we'll watch indie guitar bands and 4 lads, singing about pints and pubs and all the
So
rest of it.
where do you see
They'll never
yourself?
go anywhere. I don't think they'll work.
Where do you see yourself? Are you more to the north? Would you say?
Stoke-on-Trent's, yeah, I mean it's Midlands really, but we're definitely more northern than
Yeah.
London crowd. That's another world with us really. We're definitely in that mix of bands that you just mentioned. K's and Raytons and all that kind of Lilacs, and there's quite a few coming through now at the minute. It's really nice to see a resurgence because I mean I don't. It feels like the industry doesn't want it to be a thing. It's never, it doesn't want 4 lads in a guitar band.
Yeah.
To
But everybody else does, didn't they? You know what I mean?
you can't kill it, man. It's always worked. It always has worked, and it always will work. No matter how much the industry doesn't want it to, which is kind of how it feels at the minute in terms of being a northern indie guitar band, which is kind of I mean, we're Midlands, but that's basically what we are. Yeah.
So obviously you mentioned Poltergeist. You came back with Poltergeist, Poltergeist Illustrator, and I Can See to Worry, and all came out in 2022, which I kind of thought was a a step up again. Those three singles, all kind of a different sound, a bigger sound. I thought so.
Yeah.
Was that kind of a conscious effort to think, right, we're back, we're going to be heard?
I think one of the other advantages of COVID, the advantages of COVID, that's a book, isn't it? Yeah, one of the other advantages of COVID was time, really. So like, all creativity gets is a product of the time that you can spend on doing it. You know, because I mean, anything like any record or song that's written or anything, it's basically just a collection of ideas, you know. And sometimes you have all the great ideas in 5 minutes, and sometimes, you know, they can take 6 months. Some people have songs knocking around for years and years and years. So one thing that COVID did give us was time for like ideas to develop and things to grow, even though they weren't maybe growing in that kind of organic way that I've mentioned before in a practice room. Like I remember, like locked in my, I got like a little two up, two down terrace in Stoke, and I bought a you know, like an architect's drawing board, like the big drawing boards where architects do like blueprints on.
Yeah,
I bought one of them and a great big A5 or whatever pad size they are to fit on it, and then some bulldog clips and just bulldog clip this great big pad on my what's name because like the way I tend to write is I'll just put my guitar over me and then just like wander around playing until things ferment and just keep going over sections and things like that. And then I'd be like working from home, and if I got like an idea for a line or something twigged in my head, it'd go straight on the big pad. Do you know what I mean? So like over this kind of like 18 months, 2 years of lockdown, um, I just like accrued this massive ideas in a way that
right.
and I think all of them songs that have followed from there, a lot of them came off that pad. You know, so I think maybe the sound change and things like that came as a result of us having more time to develop stuff than we'd previously had, where we'd like, you know, we'd write it in a practice room and it'd be what it'd be in the practice room. Whereas COVID kind of gave me like 18 months to live with ideas for longer and choose the good ones, you know. So I think the writing definitely benefited from having that time, and songs like Poltergeist and Worrying definitely, and Jacket Weather, and quite a few off the album as well, all came up. The bones of them were written in that kind of period, you know, and
Hmm.
it's 18 months kind of since we came back to life to and a lot of last year recording them to put them together. So that's this album's kind of a product of that time that we had, you know.
Just on jacket weather, obviously. Um, as I say, if you trolling your Instagram here the last couple of days, I noticed you're big fans of Circa Waves.
Oh
Um,
yeah, man. Circa Magic,
yeah,
great.
and when I seen jacket weather, I thought, is that kind of like a response to
T-shirt
t-shirt
weather,
weather, the Circa Waves?
jacket weather. I think I get a lot of ideas like art influences art kind of thing, and I'm a big movie buff me, so like I watch a lot of films, love storytelling and the creativity involved in like script writing and good dialogue and things like that. I get a real kick out of watching really well written stuff. Um, and it was I can't even remember what it was in, but it was a while ago. And somebody gets out of a car and they leave their jacket on the back seat of the car, um, and then they drive off and realize they've left their jacket, like the people in the car, and they go, oh, they've left the jacket. It says, yeah, yeah, yeah. You remember she took it off when we went round that corner. She says it's not jacket weather anymore. I was like, I've never heard that before. There's all sorts of like things that could be interpreted out of that.
Yeah.
And then like, I mean, sometimes I'll just set off down these like meandering paths that don't make sense to anybody other than me. But I like to see where I end up with it. And like that's got a like a world that I created just off the back of that line, really. I don't really know. You know, it'll never make the same sense to anybody else as it makes to me. But yeah, that's how I write. Kind of, you know, I hear things and then just see where it goes off the back of it, and that was one of them, really. But yeah, love that song. It's one of my favourite we've got knocking about at the minute.
Brilliant. Obviously, touring wise as well, you supported Scouting for Girls again. Have you share the same booking agent or something? Is it?
Yeah, so there's a few tie-ins actually. So our producer, Andy Gannon, who's made the album, he's from Stoke-on-Trent. He's doing really well at the minute. He's working out in Manchester now, but I mean, he's working with Liam and the Cortinas on new stuff. He's doing writing sessions with DMAs. He's really kicking on like another Stoke lad. You mentioned the Raytons. The Raytons manager Rich Goodwin is from Stoke. He actually the first gig he ever put on was at a cricket club in Stoke, and he booked us. We were on his first ever bill, and now he's had a #1 record with the Raytons, and he's going around the world, which is amazing to see.
Yeah,
And then yeah, Scouting's booking agent is from this neck of the woods as well. So he works with us, and when he can get us on decent stuff, he gets us on decent stuff. And we played with Scouting a few times, man. It's we did a few on their tour 2022 now, I think. So we did
hmm
Oxford Academy, we did Liverpool Academy, we did Kiel with them. They were all like 2,000 cap venues, man. Which was again like we have these like little brief periods that last for like a month or so, where it starts to feel like really real. Like this is what it'd be like if we did this all the time, and like that was one of them periods because we were doing like 2,000 cap venues like one after another. It's
yeah,
this amazing buzz, man. Even though you're in a room full of people who aren't there to see you, I always say like music's music, and people who go out to
yeah.
watch.
But if you can take 10-15% of the fans and bring them on the journey with you, then that's how it grows, isn't it?
Yeah,
Obviously, you touched on kind of a few of these people for Stoke. Round about this time as well, you played with all the young, and is it the Outclassed? Are both those bands for Stoke as well?
yeah. So all the young, like Stokes, uh, like they were. I wouldn't know the full story. I wouldn't go into too many details, but a really good record deal like 10 years ago,
Hmm
and then like had a break, and then I'm back again now. So it's amazing to see like like how it just never leaves you, man. Like like you can have like almost 10 years away from something like this, and you can have it all fall apart, but it never disappears like that thing inside you to keep writing songs and keep wanting to be out playing music and making records. So yeah, all the young Stokies, underclass Stokies as well. I mean, in different like kind of spheres of music, we've got Darla Jades from Stokes doing really well at the minute on Radio One all the time. It's like more pop, but like with kind of like a
Uh-huh.
kind of twist on it. She's doing great. Lissy Taylor's from Stokes. She's doing really well at the minute. There's definitely like a hive of really solid creatives in this city. It's
Yeah,
just we seem to have to branch out to to like um, make more noise basically. Because it's quite a small place, Stoke in general.
yeah. But it's good to see that they've got that kind of wee community, and there's kind of that it helps to for each of you to push each other on.
Yeah, definitely,
Uh,
definitely.
so I on top of this, I mean, there's a lot of festivals you've played. You seem to play Diva Fest quite a bit. Um,
Yeah, I think
obviously, is this your city festival? Is that in Stoke as well?
yeah, that's the Stoke festivals. Like Sound
Yeah,
City in Liverpool, and like Humber Street Sesh up in Hull, and Camden Rocks. Well, your city is Stokes Festival.
yeah. So I mean, looking at that through the years as well, you played at that every year seems to be, and looking at the lineup as it's progressed, it's growing, it's getting bigger and better every year. So it's nice to be playing these sort of things as well. Obviously, 2023 Jacket Weather came out, uh, on the walk on the walk from the picture house came out as well, and as well as that, you signed to Regent Street Records.
Yeah.
So is that when the plans were coming ahead for the album coming out?
Well, we kind of did things a little bit back to front. So, like normally, what you would do is like, I mean, everybody finds their own way through, but like a more common way is that like you make your noise and then you get your batched like demos that would be your album, and then you shop that around to like people to try and get them to come on board and invest in you to help you make the record and help you promote it. Like that's normally how people go about getting a deal. We'd already made our record. Like we decided that by hook or by crook we were going to put one out even if nobody wanted to help us do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we started work on all the new stuff on the album in March last year, and then we spent like basically 6 months writing and recording in studios to get it to a point where we could shop it around and see if we could get anybody to come on board and help us make more noise with it than we would make off our own back. And just found just the most wonderful people at Regent Street who absolutely love what we are and what we're trying to do, and like the world that we live in terms of like that sphere of guitar music that we want to exist in. They really love the stuff, dead supportive, and yeah, we signed with them we actually signed in August. We signed at Diva Fest actually. We did
Right.
we did the signing of the contracts at the gig with our manager and John from the label. And then we didn't announce anything publicly until back end of last year, because basically like it's all about momentum. So we knew we'd gone quiet for quite a while because of all the it's like a duck on the pond, it looks still like
Yeah.
I think they're going like mad underneath. And that was what last year was like for us, with toing and from to Manchester for recording, and then there's so much work that like you just never in a million years envisage having to do to make an album. Everything from chart registrations to artwork designing to who's going to order your physicals to how you're going to pay for everything, how you're going to post it out to people, like inlays on cards, how you're going to
Yeah.
get your online. There's just like this sea of jobs that like one after another just keep like washing over you while you're still trying to sort the last one, and like as you're sorting one job out, like that makes five more ones that like you've never had to do before. So we were really, really lucky to have Josh, our manager, who is an absolute stalwart. Like where we'd be without him, I've got no idea, helping us to get to this point. And the guys at Regent Street too, equally so, have been fantastic with us. So we announced the signing back end of last year, and the intention was to actually announce the release of the album back end of last year as well, kind of like hopefully like get some early pre-sales in before Christmas, before everybody was skint in the new year. But again, there was a couple of jobs that were unforeseen that pushed it into the new year, and we announced it about 2 weeks ago. And the response has been mega, man. We've had just so many messages and well wishes, and people already pre-ordering, and numbers are looking good, and tour's been announced now, and it's just now, like I say, the feet and the wings are going.
Yeah.
now we're making loads of noise and trying to get as many people on board to push it up the charts as much as we can.
That I mean, there's so much new music coming out, like right at the start of the year. So I was quite when I seen that the album's out in May, I thought that's quite good. It gives me a bit of breathing space because I feel like I'm buying an album every week, all the way through January, February, March.
Yeah.
So it gives me it's nice to have a bit of breathing space. Um, you mentioned there were a couple of the songs already out. You mentioned there was like two or three songs already out that are on the album. So what else can we expect? What sort of sound are we going to hear? Are we going to hear anything, any new surprises?
Oh yeah. There's a couple of things on there. One of the things about doing an album is like as a singles band, which is kind of what we've always been. Like somebody said to me like quite early on when I was quite young, like just keep banging singles out, just keep the momentum going, single, 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 single till one drops and helps you kick on. And eventually you can do that for so long, and then eventually you get to the point where you realize we become single writers. Then like you're writing a single structure, a pop structure, a single structure that isn't um, don't get me wrong, like it works, it's worked from Elvis,
Uh-huh.
Hound Dog, right through to like whatever's number one now, it works. But it's not always, it doesn't give you room creatively sometimes to do things that like, well, this wouldn't be a single, but it sounds great and we love it. So there's definitely two or three of them on the record that would never be singles in a million years, but are records that we're really, really proud of and that we hope people, you know, love.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I've spoke about that quite a bit on my podcast. Like the album seems to be kind of dying out, but I've always been. I don't know if it's my age. I've always been a fan of an album. I always like to see an album. Um, and one of the bugbears I get for it now is see when bands they bring out an album, you're usually heard about six of the songs on it already before the album comes out. So by the time the album comes out, you're just getting like an EP.
Yeah, exactly. Which
Um,
we need to see, man. I mean, effectively, like it's just cost at the end of the day. Like it's again, like one of the hurdles to clear is how you fund an album, like, and to do it at a standard that gives you a chance of getting like national radio play and things like that. So it's just money at the end of the day. Like if we'd got an extra 6-7 grand to play with, we've got an extra 3-4 brand new songs that could quite easily take the place of the. So there's this double-edged thing. Part of it's the money, and then part of it's like if you're making a record, you're making
right. So what we
timestamp
need to
as
do is
well.
push this Patreon. We need to push this higher tier in the Patreon and get these guys in with the Wonga, and then we'll get another 4 songs.
Yeah, or I mean, if we could just get 1,000 people to go out and pre-order the album, man, that would pay for the next record
Yeah,
quite comfortably. But yeah, it's all bread, mate. I mean, it's same as anything in life, isn't it? Um, money is opportunity. So you're always balancing decisions on like, right, what we've got to work with, what's the smartest and best thing that we can do. And then the other flip of it is like I was saying, like an album's like a stamp in time as to where you are at that point. And up to now, like there's 4 previously released records on the album. It's a 12-track album. 4 of the ones are like 4 of our favorite that we've released in terms of like sonically, like in terms of like what we managed to achieve in a studio that we think, wow, that look at what we've made there. We're so proud of that.
mm-hmm.
And there's part of it's sonically, and then part of it's like songcraft and songwriting, like what I'm some of my proudest writing, if you know what I mean. Some of the stuff that like when I'm a 60-year-old man, I want to be able to look back off and go,
Yeah.
that's some of my best work. So there's a bit of that in it as well as to why they're on there. And yeah, hopefully, I mean, if we can have a right good year, like I say, it's only money and opportunity. So like the songs are there to go and release 12 new tracks on a brand new record. But at the minute, the money's not.
Yeah.
So that's the job this year to sell enough records and sell enough merch to fund the next one, really.
Brilliant. That all sounds amazing. Obviously before the album comes out, the new single "Cynical" next Friday. So everybody check that out. Gig wise, do you know what you've got coming up this year so far?
Yeah, we've had a good little batch of festivals already come in. So obviously we announced Your City. So Your City we're actually doing in conjunction with our album launch in Stoke. So on May the 3rd, our big album launch party will also open Your City Festival for this year. So we'll headline the Friday, and then there'll be an even better lineup this year than there's been because like small festivals grow. So that's a great one to get on the board early. We've not announced it yet, but I'm happy to mention it because we know we've got it. And we're playing Jurassic Fields in Dorset with Reverend and the Makers. We're on the main stage with them on a Friday night in July. We've got a weekender in Derby. It's called the Weekend Festival. I think Scouting and Top Loader are headlining that. We're on the main stage with them. That'll be great. There's another couple of nice ones that I can't mention right now, just in case they don't come
Yeah.
up.
You got a wee mini tour as well, aren't you? Kind of around about the album as well.
May, yeah. So May we got trying to remember it off the top of my head now. We are Stoke, Birmingham, London, Leeds, Nottingham, Manchester, Liverpool.
Yeah.
Ends in Liverpool at the end of release week, and hopefully, like everything crossed, like we'll find out our chart position the night of that Liverpool gig.
Yeah.
So if we can sneak into the top 40 this year, there will be some drinking in Liverpool that night. I can assure you, we will have one hell of a party. So we'll
And what about Scottish gigs? Is there any plans at any point to travel further north?
absolutely love to come up and play Scotland, man. Again, it's just making it make sense, money and time wise. So, like for example, like if we go and play Glasgow, like I was seeing a girl from Glasgow actually at the start of last year, so I know the trip to Glasgow and back quite well. So it's like 4 hours for us on a train, maybe 5 hours driving. So if we go to play Glasgow or Edinburgh or anywhere north of the border, you're talking like at least a wanna to rent something to get there in.
Yeah.
Probably the same in fuel. Maybe digs. So it becomes like a £400-500 exercise just to go and play the gig. So it has to make sense on whether we'll make that money back, and then like tying maybe 2 or 3 together in a run. So we go and do like Glasgow, Dundee, Edinburgh, whatever. It's like
Yeah.
something.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you could do the four cities quite easily. Probably Dundee, Aberdeen, Edinburgh, Glasgow, but it means having the fan base up here as well, doesn't it? If you've not played these gigs, you don't want to book a tour and then you turn up and you get 8 people at the venues. So
I mean, to be totally honest, like the whole plan this year is to use the album as a tool to try and grow the band and try and get a foot in, in places where we haven't got a foot in at the minute. So
yeah,
like, if we can top 40 it, if we can get decent radio support for the singles, if following the release of the album, the festival season goes really well and we branch out and make more and more noise. It's just like gravity being in a band. Like the more good noise you make, the more people get sucked into the world that you're creating and growing. So like the whole plan this year is to use the album to make as much noise as we possibly can. And then, if we can do, 50 tickets in 4 cities in Scotland, we're in Scotland,
yeah,
we're at the minute we're not there yet. So I mean, it's snakes and ladders, man. We've not got to that. We've not got to that yet.
yeah.
So
Well, that could be that's the name of your second album, right there, Snakes and Ladders. That a wee nod to the industry. That'd be ideal. Um, I mean, I'll post links to all your socials. I'll post a link to your Patreon. Post a link for pre-ordering the album, all that stuff. But it's been a pleasure having you on. Um,
great chat.
Obviously, the last bit of the podcast, we've been called Time for Heroes. I asked my guests to pick 4 heroes to come for dinner, why they're your heroes, and what you cook them as well.
What we're cooking.
Yeah,
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've gone to music and then to like other interests out of music, and it's only me. This doesn't represent the lads either. So like I mentioned my music tattoos. Like Ray Davies out of Kinks is my all time favorite songwriter.
brilliant.
Just I love his voice, and I love like just one of the best power pop singles bands I think ever. Like just the greatest choruses and like authenticity is a really important word for me. Like I believe every single word that comes out of his mouth, even in the daft stuff that he's doing. I can feel him being daft in like
Yeah,
dedicate following like that. So like I mean, to sit down and have a bit of food with Ray Davies, that would be great.
that'd be brilliant. Aye,
If you're having a king, you've got to have a Beatle as well. So we'll have Macca, just for the stories, man. I mean, can you imagine being able to sit down and peck his head about some of the stuff that they know. So Paul McCartney's there. Um, I'm gonna have Stanley Matthews as a Stoke-on-Trent representative.
brilliant.
First footballer to win the Ballon d'Or, first footballer to be knighted, absolute bastion of the game, and he grew up 15 minutes from where I live. So we'll have Stanley Matthews. And then a bit of a rogue one. I said films. Rocky 1 is like my favourite film.
Right.
I think if the other Rockies hadn't followed it in the series where it became a bit of a caricature, like that first one would have gone down alongside like Raging Bull and like some of the great sports movies of all time. So I'd have Stallone because I think I'd like to speak to him about Rocky all night because like
Brilliant.
inspirational. Like I like sport is like a really good metaphor for life, and Rocky's probably the best embodiment of that, of getting knocked down and keeping going. So we'll have Stallone, Stanley Matthews, Paul McCartney, and Ray Davies.
I'm loving these choices as well. I mean, see if I started like my series 2, like I've done 50 episodes and then I wiped it and I started again series 2, and the difference in heroes that have been picked this series, it's been like everybody seems to have picked like a couple of new ones every time.
Yeah.
The other day somebody picked Ringo Starr. I've done like I'm on about 70 episodes and it's the first time Ringo Starr had ever been picked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So aye. But I mean like Stanley Matthews never been picked, Ray Davies never been picked. So it's nice to hear all these new ones coming in.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, yeah, you've got to get a Stokey in there somewhere. He's probably Stoke's most famous son.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I do like people picking footballers as well. It's nice to have a bit of football chat as well.
yeah.
I noticed you didn't pick that Haskabanovic, so that says it all.
Well, he's got time yet. You know what I mean? Stan played till he was 50, so maybe Axe got a bit more time yet to get on the list.
And what you cooking these guys?
What we're cooking? We're going to have Staffordshire oatcakes. Do you know what a Staffordshire oatcake is?
I'm imagining it's something famous for Stoke.
So a Staffordshire oatcake, it's like a breakfast food. You have it with it's like a pancake, but it's savoury. Uh,
Right.
and you have it with sausage, bacon, egg, beans. So it looks like a pancake, but you have it with like breakfast food, and
That
it's
sounds like a breakfast wrap type thing.
exactly that. Yeah,
That sounds amazing. Actually, as I say, as I'm trolling near your Instagram, I thought it maybe be like a pie or something because you seem to be right into your pies.
yeah, yeah, man. Somebody, an old girlfriend described my culinary choices as traditional and beige. So that was for a long time. That was kind of what it was. But I've updated it recently. I eat a lot better now than I used to, just to keep the weight off. If anything, man, it's got to be done. So yeah, Staffordshire oatcakes for dinner.
Brilliant. That sounds amazing. That's something that I'll need to come down and try that.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, if we come to Scotland, we'll bring you some up. I've actually got like relatives like who have left Stoke and gone to live around like different places around the world, and they have us send them oatcakes because you can't get them anywhere else.
Right.
Yeah. So like my mum like posts oatcakes to like my uncle who lives in Andover down south and stuff like that still, and he's lived there for 40 years. So it's yeah, you can't get them anywhere else, and they're really good. You should try some.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up definitely. That sounds amazing. Um, as I say, I'll post all your links. I'll post your Patreon and all that, and we'll try and get you a wedge of cash coming in for this second album. But absolute pleasure having you on.
Cheers, Martin. Thank you very much, mate. Really good chatting. I really
Thank you.
yeah, I love the whole like kind of vibe and the stuff that you're into. Like it's exactly all the kind of world of bands that you love, man. It's exactly what we are and what we buzz off. And yeah, I'm glad to.
Brilliant. Thank you. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Time for Heroes podcast. If you would like to get in touch, the best way is on the Facebook page, Time for Heroes Podcast, or on Instagram at Time for Heroes Podcast, or Twitter at Time for Heroes P1, or drop me an email at timeforheroespod at gmail.com. You'll find Time for Heroes on all podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple, Google, and Amazon. Please leave a review where you can, share with others, and more importantly, enjoy.